Light against dark and dark against light. A tip for intermediate sketcher. It's one of my favorite urban sketcher recipe. I've been giving a lot of tips for absolute beginner. I wanted to give some, well, at least one tip for the intermediate sketcher and share one of my favorite recipe for urban sketching. So in this video, I want to cover this concept of dark against light, light against dark in the same sketch of the same subject. Say for example, there are two figures right here. You can see that the one on the left is dark against light, and the one on the right is light against dark. Let me repeat it, but now reverse the design pattern. So now you can see that I will darken the background. The figure on the left now is light against dark, and the one on the right is dark against light. And it's the reverse pattern of the one I have sketched earlier. Well, these are just design pattern, and it obviously can be used not just for figures. Here you could have a light, well, for example, a car, and then you might be in a tunnel and you can in the distance see shadowed cars, and it's dark against light. This general principle or design can be used for anything. A rock, for example, here I use it for two rocks, one on the left and right, light against dark, dark against light. If I were to just make it darker so that you can see with a bit more clarity, the two figures, they are standing sort of next to each other at a distance. The further away on the right is a lighted figure on dark background. It could be a shop front. In Singapore, it's very common, where somebody's standing in front of a shop front, and the person in front, the bigger person, it's actually a bigger figure is actually in shadows. Now the reverse could be true. You could be in a doorway, somebody in a doorway, it's dark, like the sketch right now, and the figure on the right is actually standing in the sunlight. So this is just a generic concept, and actually it's very useful when you think in this term, light against dark, dark against light, and you can use it for all kinds of sort of design. Same thing with the traffic in the tunnel. You can see distance where the vehicles are in the dark, and then the one in front could be in sunlight where it's in, same thing for any generic sort of shapes. It could be fruit bowl, it could be any design whatsoever. It's just a recipe, generically speaking, but I like to look for it for in an urban sketching environment. Let me give you a demo. I was in a park and I saw a couple standing under shade. They were standing under a tree, so they were in the shade. So let me just draw them. And there is a smaller figure at a distance, and that person was under the direct sunlight against a sort of a green backdrop, if you like. There was a lot of plant and so on. So let me just shade the two figures in front. They are in the shade under a tree, as I said, and there's shadow underneath them because of the tree. And as you can see, that's how they would sort of appear in front. So this is dark against light, if you like, of these two figures on the left. And now I will put a bit of green just to sort of symbolize the plant. I'll do it very simply because it's just a demo. It's not a very careful painting or sketch by any means. What I do is now is just put the figure, the smaller figure on the right, light against dark. Now I just got to be careful that I don't sort of darken the whole stretch. I water down the patch and sort of dilute down and make sure that it gradates all the way through to the left. Now you can see that the figure on the right side is actually light against dark, and the two figures on the left is dark against light. And it's basically this design that makes a sketch interesting, and it is an opportunity to make a simple sketch, a mundane everyday sketch, seems a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And that's the secret, really. It's light against dark, dark against light. It's just playing against the contrast of values. well, in a sense, the contrast of value is one of the most eye-catching contrasts you can play with. So I hope by sharing this, you can apply this in your own urban sketching, and it will be helpful in the way you observe the world. So let me give you a couple of examples. The first one is where I was looking at a bunch of figures. Now, I didn't use the full light against dark, dark against light. It's just one of them, and it was actually sufficient to bring the figures out. But of course, the example becomes more interesting when the light against dark and dark against light, as in this example, you could see the dark figures, just in front of the door, and then the guy with the chopping knife, it's on the left hand side. He's chopping away, and he's light against dark. So that makes the sketch a lot more interesting. I hope that helps with this week's video and tutorial. I hope you try it. Let me know if you're stuck with this concept and what you're struggling with. I'm happy to help always. Just drop a comment below and I'm happy to take a look at it. So have a good day and peace wherever you are in the world. Bye. Young ones,